So good morning and welcome to another session. And today we are going to learn another new term which is related to diet. So since we all by now know that food is medicine, हम जो खाना खा रहे हैं वो actually works like medicine, but how it impacts us, let us learn today. So before that, I like to show you on video for reinforcement. It's a excellent video that I came across on YouTube. I'm going to share my screen shortly. I'm just looking where it is. I'm just closing other tabs because there is a limitation on the number of tabs that is shown on the share screen. Let me see if it is visible now. Yes. Somebody say yes when you look at the screen. Screen नजर आ रहा है आपको? Great. Let's start. Please be very attentive. This is very important for many people.
My health habits aren't great, but I look fine.
Well, Masa actually joins us, and you told our producers you can relate to this.
I can totally relate. I mean, I just love food in general, and pizza, burgers, fries. But why should I change my diet if I'm comfortable with myself when I look at myself in the mirror and go out and get dressed?
Well, come up here with me. And I think, Masa, your story is very relatable, but I also think, a lot of people hear your story and they're frustrated because a lot of people say, well, no matter what I do, I can't get to a weight I'm comfortable with. They look at you and they think, she looks fabulous and she eats all that crap. Here's the reality, though. It doesn't always matter what you look like. When we talk about your health, you got to look inside. Because there are a lot of things that go on inside the human body that you're never going to see on the outside when you're eating a lot of bad food. One of the things that you need to start thinking about is what's going on inside your body. So let's start with this. You have any idea what that is?
No.
It's part of your pancreas. Do you want to feel it?
I don't even know where that is.
Well, let me show you. So I have to deconstruct our model here a little bit, but come over here. So your pancreas actually lives behind your stomach. Now I'm going to try to pull this out.
Oh, God. Okay.
I'm going to take the liver out too.
Okay, there that goes.
So back here is your pancreas.
Okay.
And what it does is every time you eat a meal, like French fries, a meal that's loaded with sugar, it releases insulin. And here is where the sad situation can be for people who have normal weight. A lot of people who are normal weight do get diagnosed with diabetes. 1 in 8 diagnoses of type 2 diabetics are normal weight. But normal weight diabetics, a recent study actually showed that they have twice the risk of dying of cardiovascular disease. And the reason is that you may be normal weight, but that doesn't mean that internally your body's responding any better to the insulin that you're releasing after all these meals. It doesn't mean your body's not working twice as hard. It just doesn't show on the outside. Because the other thing that can be happening is internally, you may not be overweight, but you can still internally have a lot of visceral fat covering your organs, causing internal damage. You know what else isn't in French fries or deep fried food or a lot of the other things you say you like?
What?
Do you want to feel it? You can put some gloves on and it's up to you.
Okay, I'm going to jump in with you because we're going to do this, guys.
And this is what a lot of women don't think about until it's too late. But I can tell you when you're eating foods of that nature, what you aren't doing is building strong
Bones.
bones.
Okay.
Women, especially as women move on in life, are susceptible to what's called osteoporosis. I want you to feel it. That's a spine, okay?
Okay.
You're looking at that in profile. But women who drink a lot of sodas, much more likely to develop osteoporosis. Women who are not engaging in weight-bearing exercise, a lot more likely to develop osteoporosis. And that may not mean anything to you now, but 20, 30 years down the road, when you fall and you break your hip, it's going to mean something to you. And right now is when your body wants to be its strongest. It wants strong bones. You're priming yourself right now with your eating habits to how you're going to feel 20, 30 years down the road.
Oh, my God. I'm kind of afraid for that.
Every time you eat a meal that's loaded with processed sugars,
Salt, butter.
saturated fats. Every single time you do that, you are putting a burden on your internal organs that will add up over time, will potentially prematurely end your life, will potentially lead to premature fractures, will potentially lead to things like diabetes, will potentially lead to a heart attack. And I don't care if you're the perfect svelte figure or not. You got to stop now so that 10, 20, 30 years from now, you don't end up in the ER. You know, I want this to be the day where you say, oh, I turned it around. And I still look fabulous, but now.
So does the inside?
So does the inside.
Okay.
Are you in?
Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
So this video was self-explanatory. I don't need to explain much. So ER मतलब होता है emergency room. The ER that he was talking about at the end. So nobody here wants to end up in the emergency room. Such a beautiful thing. So are you guys in? उसने पूछा उसको, are you guys in? I'm asking this question to you. Are you guys in? Yeah. So उसने कितना beautiful message था. So this is for people now who are not very obese, yeah, normal weight also, and they think that they can eat all the crap because their metabolism is high. I can eat all the crap और मेरा वजन नहीं बढ़ता है, मुझे तो कोई बीमारी है नहीं. So it's not only about looking beautiful on the outside. What happens inside the body? जैसे उन्होंने बोला कि every time that we eat a high sugary meal or fried foods or junk food or fast food, what happens is that our pancreas has to release a lot of insulin. And जैसे हमने सीखा था कि when your pancreas release a lot of insulin very often, what it can do, it can lead to a host of conditions known as insulin resistance and oxidative stress and inflammation, and जो हमने सीखा जिसका असर आपको आज पता नहीं चलता. ओके, स्पेशली किड्स में क्यों बीमारियां इतनी नहीं होती इनिशियली कि बच्चे कुछ भी खाते हैं, बिकॉज देयर मेटाबॉलिज्म इज सो फास्ट, देयर बॉडी इज सो अल्कलाइन कि वो एसिड्स भी एक बार डाइजेस्ट कर लेता है. बट एज यू कॉल क्रॉस 25-30, देन सिम्टम्स स्टार्ट शोइंग अप, देन योर हेयर स्टार्ट्स ग्रेइंग, देन your bones become weak, you start getting these conditions, diabetes. And आजकल 20s 30s में क्यों हो रहा है? बिकॉज देयर इज सो मच ऑफ लाइक इंटरनल डैमेज दैट वी डू फ्रॉम चाइल्डहुड. हम बचपन से अंदर इतना अपना शरीर का खराब कर रहे हैं. दैट्स व्हाई स्ट्रेस सो मच ऑफ इम्पोर्टेंस. जिनके बच्चे यहाँ पर हैं, जिनके घर में बच्चे हैं, आप लोग प्लीज अपने बच्चों को डोंट फीड जंक फूड ये सोच के कि कुछ नहीं होता है. ऑन द इनसाइड अ लॉट ऑफ डैमेज इज हैपनिंग. एंड राइट नाउ द प्रॉब्लम इज दैट हम इतना प्रोसेस्ड फूड अपने बच्चों को खिला रहे हैं, या इतना प्रोसेस्ड फूड हम खुद खा रहे हैं. उससे क्या हो रहा है? डैमेज जो हो रहा है, दैट इज हैपनिंग एट द जेनेटिक लेवल. This is a real cause of concern. So the term that we are going to learn today, it's nutrigenomics. I'll just share the screen once again. I'm going to show you a diagram. It's a very interesting diagram that I studied at IIN, and it's just going to come up in a second. So this is one term we all should know as uh, as a part of food education, I would say. जैसे हमारा formal education होता है, तो we all should have food education also. And this is a very important term that we all should know, because health is not in a doctor's hands, your health is in your hands. So here there are two terms. One is nutrigenetics and one is nutrigenomics. Okay, so what is nutrigenetics? It is how your genes influences your body, how your body reacts to the food. जैसे हम जो खाना खा रहे हैं, वो कैसे बॉडी में assimilate होगा, कैसे वो absorb होगा, that is determined by our genes. This is known as nutrigenetics. There is very little we can do about it because वो हमारे genetic है, मतलब that is our genetic predisposition. और सबकी बॉडी अलग अलग वे में बिहेव करती है. जैसे मैं अगर कुछ खाऊंगा तो शायद मुझे डाइजेस्ट हो जाए, शायद मेरी मदर को नहीं हो, बिकॉज इट इज हाउ अवर जीन्स इन्फ्लुएंस हाउ योर बॉडी रिएक्ट्स टू फूड. बट दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट, द सेकेंड पार्ट जो नीचे आप देख रहे हैं, न्यूट्रीजेनोमिक्स, दैट व्हाट यू ईट influences how your genes behave. This is another science that we should know. कि whatever we eat, कैसे होता है, हमारे माउथ में जाता है, it goes into our esophagus, our stomach, it goes into our gut, then our bloodstream, and ultimately and all the food that we eat end up in our cells. So आप जो खाना खा रहे हैं, आप खुद के लिए नहीं खा रहे हैं, you are eating for your cells. Ultimately, it is your cells that needs energy, and the Krebs cycle that happens, and how the metabolism happens, and how the energy is converted, the food energy into the energy that we need for survival. So the entire process जो end में होता है at the genetic level, it influences the DNA. जो आपका DNA उसको भी influence करता है, and when that damage happens, that is when all the problem starts. पर ये डैमेज अनफॉर्चुनेटली एक दिन में नहीं होता है, फॉर्चुनेटली एक दिन में, फॉर्चुनेटली एक दिन में नहीं होता है. इट समटाइम टेक्स वीक्स, मंथ्स, इयर्स, डेकेड्स टू शो अप. जो हमने उस वीडियो में देखा कि दैट लेडी वाज वेरी हैप्पी दैट आई कैन ईट ऑल द क्रैप इन द वर्ल्ड बट आई एम स्टिल लुकिंग फैंटास्टिक, बिकॉज damage that is happening on the inside is rarely seen. The visceral fat, जो वो बात कर रहा था, the fat that is covering the main organs. I came across a statistic that non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, जो fatty liver जो डॉक्टर्स बोलते हैं ग्रेड 1 ग्रेड 2 इतना डेंजरस नहीं है, that is now responsible for 20% of liver transplants. 20% जो liver transplant हो रहे हैं, that is because of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which unfortunately doctors don't consider as very serious condition. It has become so common with obesity. तो ये टर्म्स हमें पता होने चाहिए, these things कि हाँ, न्यूट्रीजेनोमिक्स, that what food we eat, जो खाना हम खा रहे हैं, it influences your genes. Just imagine that how, बोलते हैं ना कि कैसे अपने शरीर में कुछ भी डाल देते हैं without even thinking twice. We just put anything inside our body and think that we can get away with it, कि हमें तो कुछ नहीं होता है. सो देर आर सर्टन फूड हैबिट्स दैट, बोलते हैं ना कि जो हमें होने चाहिए. तो जो कि आप खाना खा रहे हैं, इट शुड लाइक बी लाइक, बोलते हैं ना कि अगर फूड को एज अ लव देखें तो इट शुड बी लाइक योर, एक तो लिवर लविंग. Okay, I'll just share the screen again. It's a very interesting term that I learned today. Yeah, here it is. Yes. Yeah. One is liver loving, second is gut loving. And उसका जो foundation होता है, you can see here on the screen, the foundation of a liver loving, gut loving diet is fiber. So again, a very important reinforcement that please add fiber to your diet. कि चलिए आपसे एकदम कंट्रोल नहीं होता है, you cannot eat 100% whole food plant based, then just be make sure that every meal that you have, it's not the protein that is important in every meal, because protein is stored in your body. जैसे हमने सीखा था in the session of protein, that amino acids that are there, that are stored in our liver, that is stored in our cells, but fiber store नहीं होता है. Fiber is the most important thing for your liver and for your gut. It just loves fiber. Why? Because fiber one pulls cholesterol out of your body, जो हमने सीखा था, the soluble and the insoluble fiber. It also pulls out the toxins that are accumulated at the cellular level. That वो जो detox होता है, लोग बोलते हैं I'm going on a detox diet. Nothing is going to happen if you just go on a detox diet for 6 days, 7 days, 10 days. What people go to retreats and they say कि हम detox के लिए जा रहे हैं, but they come back again and go back to their old ways of living. So detox happens at every meal when you have fiber in your diet. Fiber is, बोलते हैं, the crux. It should be the crux of your diet, and that is the crux of whole food plant-based diet. What does whole food mean? That the whole food is in the most natural form. That you just don't like process it, remove the fiber, and just eat it for taste. Fiber is also tasty if you like make the healthy food, learn to make the healthy food tasty. It's not that my food is not tasty, but make sure कि आपके हर खाने में फाइबर हो, बिकॉज जो फाइबर जो खाते हैं हम, इट ऑल्सो फीड्स द गट माइक्रोबायोम. सो बोलते हैं देर आर ट्रिलियंस ऑफ बैक्टीरिया इन योर गट विच मेक्स अप द gut microbiota or the gut microbiome, and it helps it to grow. बोलते हैं ना कि you can either grow flowers in your gut or you can either grow weeds in your gut. So many people here बोलते हैं ना कि in my classes also, at my home also, take things for granted कि कुछ नहीं होता है, बहुत कुछ होता है when you eat those junk foods. So I've made a small list I made in the morning, certain habits to avoid. Can anybody read this for me? Any one of you? What habits to avoid if you want to like not, बोलते हैं, damage your genes. The nutrigenomics that we learned, that the foods that we eat impact our uh, this thing impacts it at the genetic level. So there are certain habits to avoid. Can anybody read this out for me? Maybe someone is close to the screen. Yeah.
Frequent eating,
Okay.
late
So
dinner.
Anjana aunty, now that you are experienced, now what happens with frequent eating? If we eat frequently throughout the day, that we get up and eat, then there is something called as breakfast. Then between the breakfast and lunch, you eat something. Then lunch, then snacks, then evening, then night, then late night munching. What happens when we eat frequently?
Our sugar levels will rise.
Sugar levels will rise. Sugar के पहले क्या rise होता है? Which hormone? Now
Um,
we just learned insulin. Yeah.
Insulin.
Insulin.
Yeah. So every time we eat, so the body to convert that glucose into energy, it needs insulin. So you get that insulin spike often, which can lead to insulin resistance and many other conditions. Yeah. So frequent eating we have to avoid if you want to stop damaging your genes. Yes. Second. Yeah.
Late dinners, munching post dinner.
Yeah. So why it is important to have your dinner as close to sunset as possible. So what happens after sunset? Anyone here? Others also can respond. What happens after sunset if we are
Foods,
eating? Yeah. Yeah,
food
Mukta.
doesn't get digested.
Okay. Food.
It
Why
releases
does the
toxins.
why doesn't the food get digested when we eat late? क्यों होता है ऐसा हम late?
Uh, metab
Metabolism is slow.
Yes, metabolism shuts down, not slows. It literally shuts down because nature has made us that way. That you need that sun energy to digest food. When the sun is as the top, जब sun top पे होता है, at that time digestion is also strongest. And when the sun goes down, our digestion weakens. The ability of the body to convert that energy into the energy that is required for the body, the ATPs जो बोलते हैं, that बोलते हैं ना shuts down. That system shuts down when the sun goes down. So avoid as far as possible कि हाँ ऐसा नहीं, I'm not telling कि 100% सबके लिए possible है because of their work and everything, but try bringing your meal time as close to sunset as possible, dinner time especially. Yeah, third point. Yeah, anybody?
UPF, fast food, packaged foods.
Yes, UPF is ultra processed food. Ultra processed food is something which is made in factory, like biscuits. Biscuits also UPF. हम जो इतना frequently biscuits अपने बच्चों को देते हैं या खुद खाते हैं, that is damaging your cells. That is damaging your DNA. Why? Because the body processes it as a foreign object. हमारा शरीर उस चीज के लिए बना ही नहीं है. अगर हम कोई ऐसी चीज खाएंगे जो हमारे लिए बना नहीं है, अब सपोज पेट्रोल गाड़ी है, उसके अंदर आप डीजल डाल देंगे तो गाड़ी बराबर नहीं चलेगी, बिकॉज दैट इज नॉट मेंट फॉर डीजल, दैट इज मेंट टू रन ऑन पेट्रोल. पर आप पेट्रोल गाड़ी में बार बार डीजल डालेंगे तो इट इज बाउंड टू ब्रेक समटाइम. So reduce, because I'm not saying कि 100% possible है आज के टाइम में, because of so much of food priming, so much of influence of peers, there is so much of societal pressure, but at least in your home, घर में आप लाना बंद करिए ultra processed food. These are foods that are come in packets, जो packets में आते हैं, that contains a lot of preservatives, a lot of colors, a lot of harmful chemicals are put in that just to extend their shelf life. कल मैंने एक वीडियो भी ग्रुप में डाला था that how scientists are like engineering food in such a way so that it hit those pleasure centers in your brain. Okay, so stop. मैं तो बोलता हूँ stop ultra processed food. घर में लाना पूरा बंद करिए. This is plain poison that you are feeding your kids, that you are feeding your own self. Okay, fast food बहुत जल्दी fast आपको it will take you towards your grave, because again it contains a lot of harmful things. उनका just जो these fast food companies that are there, उनका एक ही motto है to make profits, make food cheaper, cheaper, cheaper. Just imagine like pizza which comes for 100 rupees, just $1. अगर if anybody sing, yeah, इंडिया में it's come for $1, उसमें उनका सैलरी भी आ गया, रेंट भी आ गया, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉस्ट भी आ गया, प्रॉफिट्स भी आ गया, सब आ गया. So what are you feeding your body? So that fast food is ultimately proves to be very expensive in the long run when medical bills start coming. तो fast food ज़्यादा महंगा पड़ता है. Okay, packaged foods like all the bhujias and papads, ये सब जो packaged foods आते हैं, जो packets में आते हैं, that is poison. Yeah, fourth point. Yeah.
Foods that have extended shelf life.
सही किया. अब घर में आप कोई खाना बनाइए, रोटी सब्जी दाल चावल बनाइए, मैक्सिमम आप सुबह का शाम को खा सकते हैं. नेक्स्ट डे कुछ लोग फ्रिज में स्टोर के खा सकते हैं. थर्ड डे यू वोंट ईट दैट फूड. एंड हियर इज वन फूड दैट इज लाइंग ऑन द सुपरमार्केट शेल्फ फॉर 6 months, एंड उसमें लिखा रहता है एक्सपायरी डेट और 6 महीने बाद में. दोस प्रोटीन बार्स एंड दोस चिप्स पैकेट्स, बिस्किट्स जो भी आते हैं, मतलब कि दिस फूड्स, even the frozen foods that come, it's so common now, frozen rotis, frozen dals, frozen upma, that those are served in flights, and then we feel that हम तो healthy उपमा खा रहे हैं. That is poison. That is again another form of poison that you are eating. Stop eating foods that have a long shelf life. That is again one indication that you are damaging your genes. हम genetic level पे अपना नुकसान कर रहे हैं. Okay, next.
Multigrain buffet thali.
Yes, this is again another gimmick. जो मल्टीग्रेन आटा, मल्टीग्रेन ब्रेड, मल्टीग्रेन दिस, मल्टी पीपल ऑफन आस्क मी दैट कैन आई ईट मल्टीग्रेन थिंग्स, बिकॉज अगेन जो डाइजेशन होता है, आवर स्टमक, इट कैन नॉट डाइजेस्ट मल्टीपल ग्रेन्स एट अ टाइम. तो बोलते हैं ना रोटी सब्जी दाल चावल, तो रोटी और चावल हमें साथ में नहीं खाना चाहिए बिकॉज आवर बॉडीज आर नॉट मेंट टू इट. जैसे मैं आई वेंट टू एंगेजमेंट सेरेमनीज यस्टरडे. बहुत कुछ होता है बुफे में. देयर आर एटलीस्ट 15-20 आइटम्स, तो मिनिमम दैट इज देयर. सो वी ईट दिस, वी ट्राई कि चल हम थोड़ा थोड़ा सब टेस्ट कर लेते हैं. Your gut goes for a toss when you eat multiple things at a time. So be very mindful if you are going to marriages, if you are going to the functions, birthday parties. If at all you have to eat, so what I do, I eat beforehand. I don't eat anything. I didn't have anything at both the functions. So I just plan it. I just plan my day. I just fill my stomach before going to the function so that there is no craving. And after so much of reinforcement that or desire is no longer there to eat. So avoid outside these buffets as far as possible. जो थाली भी होती है, कि थाली में there is so much of variety in थाली that again it is not good for our health. Okay, and last point.
Foods from animal sources.
Now, this again, the reinforcement that I'm getting from my professors at IIN at Cornell, that the saturated fat, the cholesterol that is there in food from the animal sources, that is like killing you, basically. That is killing you. So again, the conviction towards whole food, plant-based diet, that we have learned from Sharan India and that we've learned from so many other teachers also. That conviction, my conviction personally, has become more stronger. That in most of the cases, this is not food from animal sources are not required. So this is the like the cornerstone. बोलते हैं ना कि it's good reinforcement. Most of us knew this, but understand this that this is damaging your genes also. Okay, so all the more motivation to be very mindful. Plan your meals. अपना खाना plan करिए, time से खाइए, गलत चीज मत डालिए. आप ऐसा नुकसान कर रहे हैं ना which cannot be reversed. अभी मालूम नहीं पड़ता है, वो 15, 20, 30 साल बाद मालूम पड़ता है. And when it shows up in a very bad way. I'm seeing this with in my own family. Many people who are affected with cancers, with diabetes, with kidney disorders, with मालूम नहीं पड़ा. इट शोज अप 60-65 के बाद ज्यादा शो करता है. यू आर वेरी लकी. अगर अनफॉर्चुनेट है तो टीन्स में भी शो कर देता है. यू आर नॉट फॉर्चुनेट. सो थिंक इट्स योर बॉडी. जैसे हम घर में अपने कचरा नहीं लाते ना, बीएमसी का कोई कचरा अपने घर में लाएगा कोई, कितना सुंदर बनाते हैं अपना घर. अपना अंदर को सुंदर बनाइए. इट्स नॉट ओनली ऑन द आउटसाइड दैट यू हैव टू लुक ब्यूटीफुल. व्हाट मैटर्स मोस्ट इज हाउ ब्यूटीफुल यू लुक ऑन द इनसाइड. Also, intermittent fasting is another very important habit to include, avoiding. So to include in your this thing, intermittent fasting. Again, my professor at IIN, मैंने आपको पढ़ाया था जो लोग present थे last session में, that how he also believes that body has a lot of functions to do other than digestion also. So this is another very important thing that you can include. जो लोग पहले कर रहे थे अब नहीं कर रहे हैं, please restart that again. 14 to 12 to 16 hours depending on your own activity level, depending on your instincts. At least 12 to 13 hours होना ही चाहिए. Go up to 16 hours if possible. That is excellent for your gut microbiome also, and that will help the process called as autophagy that can repair you at your cellular level. Okay, any questions or any sharing anybody has, or shall we start with exercises? Anyone? It's a very important topic, genomics. Please revise these sessions. I'm uploading all these things on YouTube also for your own reinforcement. Share this with your loved ones. Share this with your children. बच्चे कई बार लॉजिक समझते हैं तो they understand that why they should not eat. Don't think कि कुछ नहीं होता है, कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. Constant reinforcement does make a difference to our kids also. Okay. Any questions anybody has, or shall we start with exercises? Come, let's start with exercises now.